Hello, 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 everybody. What's going on? I'm Kathie J, and welcome to the Kathie J Show. I say it every day, but I'm so happy that you hang out with me this half hour. It means the world to me, everybody. So you might notice, I don't know if it's going to happen, but my nose is a little red because I went to Skin Glory the other day, and I had some treatments done. So if it starts bleeding during the show, you know it's live. And it is so live today. It's going to be so live for this girl, my guest. Everybody, today, we are celebrating Black History Month, and we're going to be celebrating it all month, but today we're going to be talking about the mistrust between the African American community and our healthcare system. Now, it's safe to say that trust in the healthcare system has declined in recent decades. I don't really even trust the healthcare system. So you don't have good communication with your doctors anymore. You don't even know what doctors to go to. We're rushed through the appointments. Okay, we get it. But it's totally different when it comes to the Black community, everybody. So a new nationwide poll by the Undefeated and the Kaiser Family Foundation in October of 2020 said that 7 out of 10 African Americans believe that people are treated unfairly in the healthcare field, and 55% of the African American community said that they just totally don't trust the healthcare system. So here you go, everybody. So my guest today is a journalist and the social equity reporter right here for Channel 7, the Denver channel, our sister station of Channel 3. Her whole career, I feel, has been covering these kind of stories. Micah Smith, everybody!
Thank you so much for having me. So excited.
Thank you.
Here.
So if my nose starts bleeding, just give me a hint. Okay, good. Thank you, Micah. Okay, so I want everybody to get to know who you are, first of all. So where do you come from?
So I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, but I grew up in St. Louis.
Nice.
So I say I'm a Midwestern girl, but I think I have a little Southern twang.
Okay, from the Memphis part.
Now and then from the Memphis part.
My God, can I just tell you, when we were cutting your photos yesterday, we couldn't stop going, every time we saw that baby bunny photo.
Oh my goodness, that's my mom's favorite picture. So when I was like, Mom, I need some childhood pictures of me.
Yeah, I think your mic might be off. Oh my gosh, who's a reporter that leaves her mic off?
Are we on now? Are we on now?
Can you hear Micah now? Yeah.
You would think I would be a pro by now.
Don't worry about it. I leave my mic off every day before we start.
I'm sorry, friends. I'm sorry.
I love live TV. That's my favorite. So the baby bunny, that's your mom's
That's her favorite. I told her to send me some childhood pics, and that's the one she chose.
She's like, you know which one I'm sending?
Yep, I knew it.
So your family, you have a dad and sister, and mom.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so one sister, one sibling.
Just one sister, just enough for us to, fight and then make up 3 seconds later.
Amen.
And a lot of people call her my twin. And in this picture, I have to admit, do favor a little bit.
You do favor a little, yeah, right.
And that's me and my mama.
That's
Daddy.
awesome.
Love her so much. That's actually a picture of me moving to Denver. She helped me move from Charlotte, North Carolina to Denver for this job. So shout out to her. She's the real MVP always.
Amen. Amen. Love you, Mom. Love you, Mom. So when did you know that did you always know you wanted to be a journalist?
I didn't always know, but I've known for a while. So when I was about 14, 15 years old in high school,
you were like, the cafeteria food is horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Find out next.
Oh,
we
were doing that. We were trying out new ice cream shops. It was like all fun and games. Yeah, so we did it for my high school. And I decided I wanted to go to Mizzou for journalism. And it was hard. And I was like, no, I actually don't want to do this. It's too hard. This is not ice cream shops. This is serious death, destruction. But ended up sticking it out and realized that what I was doing was making a difference.
Yeah.
And so I just followed that path.
That's awesome. And so those videos, that was in Charlotte when you were standing outside in the cold?
When I was standing outside in the cold, that was in Tennessee. That was in Johnson City, Tennessee. That's where I started my career as a full-time journalist. So shout out to Johnson City.
That's awesome. So you went Johnson City, North Carolina, and then Denver.
And then Denver.
That's awesome. Well, we're so happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so when we come back, everybody, we're going to get into Micah's personal and professional experiences with equity in the healthcare system. We'll be right back. Kathie J. Oakwood Homes is an official partner of the Kathie J Show. Oakwood Homes, building happiness. Kathie J. And welcome back to the Kathie J Show. So today we're speaking with Micah Smith, a journalist and reporter for the Denver channel, our sister station, Channel 7. Now, Micah, a lot of us, regardless of color, we've experienced displeasure when it comes to the healthcare system or our doctors, or, you know, they don't have answers for long-term problems. They rush us through all that. it's totally different when it comes to the Black community, the distrust level.
Yeah.
Could we just get into the medical establishment? Tell me why.
Let's dive in. Well,
Yeah.
there's a history of distrust, and it starts, way back to slavery when we talk about the experiments that were done on slaves, medical experiments. And there was no urge to really give slaves health care because they were there to do their services. They were there to produce more slaves, especially Black women. And that was it.
Right. They were machines.
They were literally
that the
thought of
people bought.
machines, right?
Yes.
Or as animals.
Yeah. Right.
And so
to help them, right?
Yeah, so it goes all the way back to slavery when we're talking about the distrust within the Black community.
Okay, with trusting anyone to give you any kind of health care, with any kind of help,
and real help, and really finding someone who believes you, who believes you and cares enough to treat you.
So from slavery, then we could say you could go into there was the Tuskegee Airmen, or not the Airmen, but the Tuskegee Syphilis study, where all these men had syphilis and they refused to get they didn't give them health care because they wanted to see how the disease progressed.
Right. So they were a part of a study. There were about 400 Black men who had syphilis and 200 who didn't. And the 200 who didn't were the control group. But of the 400 Black men who had syphilis, doctors watched it progress because they wanted to see it fully progress to the end, meaning death. What does that look like?
Which is ridiculous.
Right. So
you let 400 men die instead of trying to help them because they were Black. You thought that they could be experimented on. You could just do this to them. That's kind of what it was. Somebody thought they could.
Yeah, and it went on for 30 years.
30 years?
20, 30 years this went on. So this was
there was a lot of time for somebody to step in and fix that problem, you would think.
Right.
And then you go, okay, well, so what else? It couldn't be that bad. But no, it's even worse than that. So when I was doing my homework yesterday, there are studies out there that have found that Black Americans are consistently undertreated for pain. So let's speak about that. One study revealed half of medical students, everybody, listen to me, half of medical students and residents held one or more false beliefs about supposed biological differences between Black and white patients, like she would have a higher pain tolerance than I would, just because you're Black.
Right.
And that comes from the stereotypes of slavery, right?
100%.
That you were just the woman that had to give me babies and I didn't care how you got them out.
Exactly. And there's actually a lot of studies going on.
That just gave me goosebumps. How horrible that somebody treated somebody like that.
It's horrible. It's really scary. I can give you another historical example, even
Please.
Henrietta Lacks. I don't know if you've heard of Henrietta Lacks.
No.
But her cells were stolen from her. She had ovarian cancer. Her cells were stolen, and no one ever told her. She ended up dying.
Her cells? What do you mean?
Her cells. So they biopsied her ovaries, and medicine realized there was something special about her ovaries, or about the cells within her ovaries, and so they were literally cloned. So her cells are the first ever cells that were cloned, but no one ever told Henrietta. No one ever told Henrietta's family that this was happening. Her cells are still alive and well and being used today to help treat things like HPV, HIV. I mean, the list goes on, but her family never received compensation for it.
Right.
And they never even knew that it happened until years and years later.
I'm sure that went on a lot.
It did.
Right. Okay, everybody, coming up after the break, Micah has a very personal experience, one that she's never shared before, and she's going to share it with us. We'll be right back.
Kathie J.
The Colorado Lottery is an official partner of the Kathie J Show. Colorado Lottery, play on.
Kathie J.
And welcome back to the show, everybody. So today we are so lucky to have the Denver Channel reporter, Micah Smith, here. Yay, she's a social equity reporter, but so much more for the Denver Channel, our sister station here at Channel 3. So here's the thing, everybody. So when it comes to the Black community and their reservations toward the healthcare community, this hits home for Micah in a very personal way. Please tell us your story.
Yeah, I would like to start with my family story.
Yeah.
It's something that has been passed down from person to person. My mom is one of 11 siblings.
Wow,
so
that's
we
a lot
have
of kids.
A huge family. But one of her younger siblings, when she was born, her name was Tamora. A couple of weeks after she was born, she was really, really sick. Okay. And
I'm sorry, this is your grandmother.
This is my dad's mother.
Okay.
But still family.
Still family.
Still
Okay,
family,
yes.
and she has had her own journey with health equity.
Oh, yes.
But with my mom's mom, she took her baby. She was sick, had a cough, took her baby to the doctor. This is my grandmother who we're talking about. This was her baby.
Hi, Grandma.
Hi, Granny. Grandma Ethel. She took the baby to the doctor. There was only a white doctor in town. This was back in the 60s. And they told her, well, we think your baby has a cold. They didn't really check her out, sent her home. When my aunt at the time started to get worse, my grandma took her to the nearest hospital, which was in Memphis.
Okay.
And in Memphis at this time, there were Jim Crow laws. So that law meant that all the white patients had to be seen before the black patients. And
Are you
so,
serious?
yeah, she sat all day with the baby. They never saw her. So when my grandma was heading back home, my aunt, her name was Tamora, we call her Tammy, she passed away.
How old was she?
She was no more than 3 months old.
And a doctor couldn't look at the baby?
No.
Because they had to check all the white people?
Yeah.
With wrist problems or something like that didn't matter?
Right.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So
And you know, growing up, Jim Crow laws, you'd always hear the word Jim Crow. What does a Jim Crow law mean?
So Jim Crow law was basically what was thought of as separate but equal. Clearly it was not separate but equal, but it meant that in all facilities there had to be black facilities and white facilities, whether that's a restaurant, whether that's church, school, on and on. And it was supposed to be separate, and the facilities were supposed to be equal. So it was
And
a
they were
service.
not.
And they were not equal. So if you went to the hospital when you were sick, you were kept separate. You had a
Different
colored
entrance.
waiting room, colored entrance, and then you had a white waiting room and white entrance. The issue was, though, hospitals and medical facilities wouldn't hire black doctors. So if you were black, you were still going to see a white doctor. And the unofficial Jim Crow law at the time was you would treat all of your white patients, and then you would treat the black patients that were left.
It just hurts my heart that doctors knew that that baby was sitting in that. I mean, we were yesterday just talking about it out loud, and it's gut-wrenching that your grandma had to go through that.
And my grandma still cries about it.
Absolutely, because it could, Tammy, your aunt could have been saved.
She could have been saved.
If a doctor just would have been like, oh, it's pneumonia, you know? I mean, she died of pneumonia, correct?
She died of pneumonia. And yeah, my mom, I actually was talking to my mom about this in December, because she just doesn't want us to forget that really she's one of 11, not 10. And my mom started to cry. She got really, really emotional about it, because she was like, I just think sometimes, like, what could my sister have been? What would she be like?
Oh no, and the fact that she was she was stolen. It's like a feeling of it's just such a, it's not fair. And I feel that the black community has felt not fair their whole life, you know, here in America. And I know that things are getting better, but you think things are getting better, but in 2022, when it comes to childbirth, let's continue to talk about women. Black women are, well, it used to be 3 times more likely to die, but yesterday I was looking and doing the research, it's now 4 times more likely to die in 2022. And most pregnancy-related deaths are preventable.
They are very preventable.
Okay.
So let's talk about some of the famous people who have had these conditions. I'll start with Beyonce Knowles.
Yes.
If you don't know who Beyonce Knowles is, call me after the show.
What
I
is
got a few
wrong with
songs
you
for
if you don't know who Beyonce is?
I
Come
love me
on.
some Beyonce.
Get information.
But when she was pregnant with her twin, she had preeclampsia.
Yes.
And black women are 4 times more likely to have preeclampsia. And so that basically means that there's not enough room to grow in the womb. And it took a while for doctors to diagnose Beyonce. And Beyonce went on bed rest a lot later than she really should have. And she had a ton of surgeries, and it was a really, really crazy time. She talks about almost dying. And this is Beyonce. This is
Beyonce, all the money in the world.
Arguably the most powerful black woman after Oprah.
Yes.
In the world. Going to Oprah. And then we have Serena Williams. Serena had her baby, and shortly after was telling doctors, I don't feel well. They were brushing her off, and her husband had to say, something is wrong with my wife.
Yeah.
Serena begins to pass out. She had a blood clot that almost killed her.
And she knew that she had a history of blood clots and specifically told her doctors, check for a blood clot. And they dismissed her.
They dismissed her because they thought, here's this strong athletic
she's
black
obviously,
woman.
Yeah, she can
handle the pain. Yeah.
Wow. And the fact that, you know, again, when I was doing the research, the fact that medical students actually think, half of them actually thought that black people can handle pain more than white people.
Yeah.
Like that right there is stupid. Like, what is wrong with you? Haven't we been teaching the lesson that we're all the same? We're underneath our skin? What is wrong with that?
Well, I think part of it too is when we talk about racism. I don't think people are inherently racist necessarily, but when you're participating in a system that's what we talk about when we say systemic racism. You perpetuate stereotypes and you perpetuate these preconceived notions. So are these medical students, you know, hood-wearing racists
racist?
No, absolutely not.
But the systemic racism is teaching them.
Right, they are a part of a
Yes.
system that perpetuates these stereotypes, and so that's why awareness is really, really important.
It is so important, and I'm so glad you pointed that out, because people hear the word systemic racism, and a lot of people don't want to admit that that is there,
right,
or that it exists. And you know, it exists even in movies. Me being a whole you know, like a movie junkie,
right,
you know, growing up, how black people were portrayed, or how black people had to put on more black makeup to get blacker on TV,
right,
you know, like the ridiculousness of it.
They had to put on a voice,
yes,
to sound black, even though that's not how they talk.
No, exactly.
Right.
So there has been a lot that I think has been put out there that people can get confused if that's their only knowledge. I get that, but we want everybody to know that you have to make changes, everybody, because I mean, if you don't trust your healthcare system, you're not going, and you won't be getting better.
Right.
And we need the black community to know that they can go to mental health, you know, access. What is the stigma, do you feel, with the vaccines?
I think the stigma with the vaccines and the hesitancy to get it.
Yes.
Again, when you go back to history, they're afraid this is one big medical experiment.
Yes.
And really, it's not. We've had this technology in place for years and years and years, but the black community, being real, honest, and raw, has been lied to.
Yeah.
So much in the past.
I don't doubt it. I don't blame the distrust.
And when you're pushing something onto the community, it's even more of a distrust. Like, why are you pushing this on me?
Yeah.
Why are you saying black people are dying more? What's going on? And so you have that distrust. But there are plenty of resources out there to really try to overcome that distrust. I know we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
We will. We're actually about to go now.
Okay.
When we come back, Micah has those resources, and we're going to talk about the progress that is being made in the healthcare industry. We'll be right back.
Kathie J.
Ramos Law is an official partner of the Kathie J Show. He's a medical doctor and a lawyer. Ramos Law, what makes us different makes us better.
Kathie J.
Welcome back to the Kathie J Show, everybody. So today we're learning a lot about the black community and some trust issues that they might have with the healthcare system. I want to just, Micah Smith is joining us. Yay! I want to say that Harriet Lacks, you mentioned earlier. Henrietta Lacks. Our floor director, John, was like, there's so many podcasts on her. You definitely need to do that.
Yeah.
These pharmaceutical companies have made millions of dollars off of her, and her family hasn't gotten anything.
Right.
It's even named after her, and she hasn't gotten anything.
Right.
Ridiculous. You also, we were talking about childbirth, and she said in the commercial break, when her sister went to give birth, she literally wanted to make sure that Micah was there and her mom, because in case something happened when she was out, that she would have a voice to represent her. Because black women die 4 times more than white women when it comes to pregnancy.
Right.
That hurts my heart, because I never in a million years would have thought I needed that when I was going in.
It is scary.
It is so scary. And then her mom desegregated the school. I was like, you need to do a story on that. And that's where we got into this next part. You do stories like this all the time.
I do stories like this all the time. Of course, with it being Black History Month, I love that we're able to highlight all of these issues. But I just want everybody to know, if you're interested in these types of stories, social equity, equity in healthcare, equity just in all systems that surround us, I'm doing these stories all the time. If you like that type of storytelling, please be on the lookout on Denver 7, because we're telling them every single day.
Yes, absolutely.
But please watch my Black History Month stories too, because I'm working hard on those.
No, you're working very hard, and I want to congratulate you. What did you just get inducted into? You were just part of a big group.
Oh, I was just part of a Black influencers photo shoot, just highlighting Black young professionals who are doing big things in the community. I felt really humbled and like, why am I here? But still very special, and I had an awesome time.
We know why you're here. Okay. We don't want to leave on a sour note, though. We want everybody to know that there are changes being made in the healthcare industry. They're trying to do more transparency. Doctors and therapists are like grouping themselves together to make more awareness.
For sure.
You also wanted to bring up what Denver Health is up to.
Yes, I did a story with Denver Health around this time last year, and they are actually training their medical students, folks in residency, about preconceived notions and bias. So they're actually taking them through medical situations, using like robots and I hate to say mannequins, but that's kind of what they are, to help them overcome these biases. So we're not just talking about bias against Black people, people of color, but LGBTQIA, people who do not speak English. And so they're really trying to address the root cause of why there is this thought that certain people can handle more pain versus other people.
Or somebody gets better care than someone else.
Or somebody gets better care
yes,
than someone else.
Or
So-
listened to more than someone else.
Right.
Yeah,
So shout out to
totally.
Denver Health for
Yes.
really locking in and doing that work. And then I just want to name one other resource
Please.
for folks. If you are still hesitant about getting the vaccine, if you're just don't know where to start when it comes to healthcare in general, and
Yeah.
you need a resource, the Colorado Black Health Collaborative is an amazing resource full of medical professionals who are there to answer your questions.
awesome.
And again, they're not there to change your mind. They're just there to give you all of the facts,
Yeah.
everything that you need to make a truly informed decision. So I just want to give them a shout out as well.
Absolutely. What are they again? Where do they find
The
them?
Colorado Black Health Collaborative. They're all over social media. They also have a really great comprehensive website.
Micah, I can't thank you enough for doing this, for just coming on the couch and
Thank you
sharing
for
your stories
having
with
me.
us. No,
I'm
I want you
loving
to come
this.
back whenever you want to come back. Next month is Women's History Month, so let's do it
Well,
again.
let me come on back then.
Please find Micah at Micah Smith _TV. And like she said, she's doing these stories all the time, not just Black History Month. So follow her and be a part of the conversations, everybody. Thank you, Micah.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Have a great day, everybody.